Well, we are getting reports from North Carolina that trace amounts of radioactive material from Japan's nuclear plants have turned up in rainwater there. And that means now that 13 states report seeing small levels of radiation as a result of what's happening in Japan. California, Washington, Massachusetts, Arizona, Pennsylvania, Colorado, Oregon, Hawaii, and now again North and South Carolina, as well as Florida and Nevada. But experts say there is no cause for concern right now. Here to tell us why is Dr. Richard Furshine. He's medical director of the Furshine Center for Comprehensive Medicine in New York City and an expert when it comes to radiation. Doc, thank you for being back. You know, you get nervous, and they're saying it's directly linked to Japan because they can sort of isolate the type of radiation, and it's what's coming out of those plants there. And the question I think our viewers have is, you don't want to be an alarmist, but really, can we drink the drinking water? Can we see our pets drink rainwater and not worry?
Yes. Right now, we're safe. What we're detecting in the water is iodine-131, and that's the type of iodine, the radioactive iodine, that actually degrades very quickly, about 8 days. So we're going to wait to see what happens over the next week or two to find out how much more radiation is being leaked and what other water supplies might be affected.
So if nothing happens, if they wrap everything up in Japan, you know, with a tidy bow and everything's fine, we don't have to worry. But the question is, what if they don't? Because Joe Cirincione, an expert on the nuke front, was on Happening Now just an hour ago and said this. Listen to this.
Fukushima has already gone on for 15, 16 days, and it involves not one partial meltdown, but at least 3, and there's 3 other reactors that have problems, plus spent fuel rods. So this is a huge, huge catastrophe in Japan. The only accident that's worse is Chernobyl, where the reactor actually exploded. We don't think the reactors are going to explode here, but that is a remote possibility. We're in a slow-motion meltdown. I expect this to worsen over this week.
So then what happens here?
Right. Well, this is a very serious problem in Japan right now. This is a disaster of epic proportion. And today they found plutonium in the soil around the reactor, one of the most lethal substances known to mankind. Exposure to plutonium in that reactor from a fuel rod could kill someone within 16 seconds. But it is not easily airborne, and it's not something that normally travels as far as iodine-131 or cesium-137. We measure these radioactive levels in picocuries. This is a very specific form of measurement for radiation. And what we detected was about a 79 picocurie per liter level in water in Massachusetts reservoirs.
What does that compare to?
Well, in drinking water normally, we'd find 20 picocuries. And in a liter of beer, we might find as much as 350 picocuries.
Why? Why so much in beer?
Well, as it turns out, a lot of foods contain radioactive materials that at very low levels are perfectly safe. So it's important for people to understand where we are right now in terms of the risks and where we're heading. Now, in the next week, we're all going to be watching this very carefully. We're going to be looking at the water around Japan. We're going to be looking at fish.
In terms of 79 doesn't bother you, what does bother you?
Well, we're talking about
when it gets
thousands.
To what?
Thousands, we'd certainly be concerned about
it. What could we do? What would be the alternative? I mean, bottled water originates, you know, same place as regular water does.
Well, at that point, we would have to look at other sources of water. But we are so far from that right now.
Same with milk, same with air, because those are the other 2 things they're studying now.
And remember, radioactive iodine concentrates in milk because cows get it first. So they eat it in grass. 12 hours later, that radioactive iodine is found in the milk, and we can detect those levels. The most vulnerable individuals, children, pregnant women, the elderly, but most importantly, people that are at most risk are the ones who are immunocompromised, because radiation can damage cells. It actually gets to that DNA and actually causes
But we're not there
damage.
yet.
We are not at the point where we need to have widespread concern. Above this point, we need to be vigilant here, and we need to watch how this thing unfolds, because right now, weeks, months, something like plutonium has a half-life of 100,000 years, whereas cesium, maybe 30, iodine, maybe 8 days. So we need to see what types of radiation and the types of effects.
Understood.
Again, we have to be vigilant.
Dr. Furshine, thank you so much. We'll watch these levels, and God forbid they get higher. We will have you back, and you can continue to give us your excellent perspective. Thank you, sir.
Thank you so much.